Hi, my name is Drew Pomeroy, and welcome to this beginner-friendly series on learning RStudio and Shiny Apps I/O for athlete monitoring. In this series, we'll be exploring how to create a dynamic and user-friendly web application to monitor athletic performance, specifically focusing on baseball players. Alright, so the next piece that I want to do here is actually create some longitudinal bar graphs for some of the information. Now, instead of looking at the percentiles, I want to actually pull the raw information, because I want to see their percentiles on top as that quick snapshot, but then I want to be able to dive deeper and actually look at their physical performance between all of the events that they've ever been a part of. So a couple of things we're going to need to do is add ggplot2. We're going to add that plot to the user interface. Then we're going to go create a reactive expression that filters player data by player name only in the server. So right now we have it written that it's pulling the player name and the event. So we need to create a new reactive expression that's just going to be for that player name and all data. And then we're going to use that reactive expression for the bar graph. So first, getting started, we'll hop on in here. So first, what we're going to need to do is add ggplot2. So this, I believe, should already be in R itself. But I'm going to go ahead and add this, and we'll say this is for, I'm just going to say all plots. All right, so we'll go ahead and add ggplot2 in. Now we're going to go down, and what I need to do is go into the UI. So let's find our UI code. We've got all of that sorting going on. Boom, boom, boom. And that's the server logic there. So, all right, after all of these parentheses, so I'm going to be at line 100. What I'm going to do here is actually define server logic, blah, blah, blah. Okay, actually, it's going to be before these. So let me go to the end of this. We'll come in here, give it a couple of spaces. So longitude. Just gonna do the longitudinal section here. So we're gonna create another fluid row. All right. Fluid row, enter. We're gonna add our column in. Remember, we want this to give it that width. Sorry, not 2. We're going to go 12 because we want this to be bigger. And then we're actually going to use plot output here. So plot output, that is a part of Shiny, right? We're working in the UI. So we'll call this longitudinal bar graph. Okay. And we're going to set the height of it. I'm going to set this, I think a good size is probably 300. Nice. And then you can adjust, right? You can adjust the size of that as you need it, but 300 is a pretty good starting point there. So we'll go ahead. That matches with that. We've got all of these expected after expression. So yeah, go up and here, add a comma after that expression because we are continuing to work throughout that. So now what is next? We need to actually create that reactive expression. So let's find our first reactive expression. So here we go. Here's that first one. We can see we're doing player name and ID. So let's just add another one in here. And we'll call this reactive expression for player name only. I'm going to put all data in parentheses there because we're going to use this for every longitudinal piece that we do in this. So let's name this player data all events. And, go boom, player data all events. Right, this is our reactive expression. Go here, remember, give it that squiggle. And what are our inputs in here? So we're going to input the player name. And that is going to be it. Remember the other one we wrote out, event ID. So from here, we're now going to filter the new assessment data for full name. And that is going to, the full name is going to be equal to the input of player name. And we should have those closing it out. Great, so we've created that reactive expression. So what we need to do from here is actually go down. So let's put this below output labels for groups. So we're gonna need to keep that a little lower. I'm gonna put a few spaces in there. And here we're gonna be adding longitudinal section. And here we go. We're gonna go, this is our outputs, right? So we want this. This is actually saying, hey, display this. Output, let's do the money sign, longitudinal, bar graph. And we're going to go here. So we now need to render it, right? Render plot. Again, get that squiggly going. So what are we putting into this? We need player data all events. And we need that to fill out. Okay. And we need to use ggplot player data all events. Okay. So now let's look at the aesthetics. We want our x-axis to equal the event ID. We want the y-axis to be the 10.5 RSI. That's just the one that I want to pull in. You can choose any of the other ones, but again, we're working with that actual performance information. So we do need to put a plus sign at the end of this. And we're actually going to look into the bar chart now. So we're going to use this GM bar. It actually needs an underscore in there. So stat is going to equal identify. And the fill, I just want this to be black. So we're just going to go black. You can use any hex codes or anything in there if you want to. Remember to put it in quotations. And then I want some text in here too. So GM text, it's the aesthetics, and we need to label this. Let's go 10.5 RSI. And let's go here. And what I'm going to do here is just adjust things a little bit. I actually want a label. So this GM text is actually labeling the bars themselves. So I'm pulling the value on top of the bar when it pulls through. So we need to use vjust. Oh, sorry, that's going to be an equal sign, -0.5. We're going to try that one out, see how it looks. And the color for this, I also want to be black. And the size, let's see, let's just try out, I think a standard one is like 3.5. And we're gonna add a plus at the end of that as well. And then let's do the labels, right? We want to, we've already set, so in that ggplot, play data, all events, the aesthetics, the XY coordinates, that's gonna be here. This is just setting, right, because you can tell these have these ticks on them. So that's actually pulling in the name of the column from our data. when I'm down here, I'm actually going to put in the text labels. So we use the command labs, and x equals event ID, and comma y equals 10.5 RSI, and we're going to give this a title and just call it longitudinal 10.5 RSI. All right, and then just an added piece here, the theme. We're just going to make the theme minimal. It just kind of looks nice. So, all right, that should be it. I'm going to get rid of that one. So if we did everything correctly, we should be good to go. So let's run our UI, run the server, and let's take a look at our Shiny app. I'll make this a bit bigger. Error, can't find stat called 34M identify. All right, so let's go back and figure out what we did wrong here. So classic misspelling mistake. This should not be identify, it should be identity. So let's talk about what this means. Stat equals identity is just telling ggplot2 to look at the actual value of the metric as opposed to the count of it. I think it defaults to the count. So what we're saying here is what is the identity of this in general. So let's go ahead and run this again. Go ahead and save real quick too, just so that we don't run into anything. So I'm actually going to go in, I added some breaks and things like that in certain places earlier without recording it. So I'm actually just going to go through kind of line by line in the code and do that. I'll probably chop this up and show you just the sections that need to be updated, but this would be one of them. Text engage output. So add here, I added a break here, and a comma, and here we're going to add another break. This is just adding space between the sections to make everything look good. You can see we actually have 2 breaks here. That'll be fine. So just real quick, the issue where the graph wasn't populating, you can see here that there's actually this little indentation. So what you're going to need to do is get everything over to the side. So if I just move everything back 1, what happens then? And then we'll get rid of these. And now let's go through UI, server, Shiny app. Nice, that does it. So you just got to make sure that you're always working in the same lines. I must have just pressed space or tab or something by accident that caused that to be off and you get an error. So if you ever see that, just know that you've got to take it back a bit there. Now we can update and see all of these things change in real time. We have the data labels on top. So pretty neat to be able to see this change in real time like that. Like it's pretty sweet. So that's exactly doing what we want to, right? We want the percentile gauges to update according to the event. And then we want this longitudinal 10.5 RSI to update accordingly. So we're seeing that. Now we can actually do some things. What I want to do is build out this first longitudinal bar graph, and actually instead of it just being this 10.5 RSI, I kind of want to have some sort of drop down here that I can pick anything from that 10.5 assessment. So if you see in the raw data, I'm going to get out of here. In the raw data, if I go to 10.5, we can see that we've got a few metrics here that we can choose from. I'd really like to be able to select any of these and then have that graph populate with whatever selection I chose. So I'm going to try and add another selector to this bar graph. So that's what we'll do next. And then we'll build it out for the other pieces that I think will be important for the assessment. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to stay updated on the next video, and I'll see you in the next one.